Hey everybody, it is Mr. Lambert with the lesson and notes today for Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. If you didn't know, and you should because you have an 8-step test this week, but our skill is 6.af.2, and all that skill says is that we need you to be able to use common mathematical properties like distributive, associative, commutative, and identity and equality properties. We need to be able to use those to create equivalent expressions or balance or solve algebraic equations. So today we're going to deal with solving and writing division equations. So yesterday we used the equality property of division with multiplication problems. Today we're going to use multiplication to solve division problems. Here we go. All right, so our first problem says that Leslie spends $5 a month on snacks at school, which is 1/4 of her monthly allowance. Complete the questions below to find Leslie's monthly allowance. So first thing we're going to do is they want us to draw a bar diagram to represent $5 as 1/4 of Leslie's allowance. Well, what we are looking for here, the thing that we're looking for is we want to find Leslie's monthly allowance. So that's what this is going to represent. This whole thing together is going to equal 1 month's worth of allowance. So you could choose anything you want. You could use an A for allowance. I'm going to choose an M today for monthly allowance. So I've got M equaling my monthly allowance, and I know that $5 is 1/4 of it. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to cut this bar graph into fourths, and I know each amount, each one of those amounts is going to be $5. Now, you could figure this out just using your bar graph, because if this is $5, that means that each one of these is worth 5. And if I have them all together, well, that should equal my M. And if I add these all together, 5 plus 5 is 10, 15, 20. My M equals $20. But ladies and gentlemen, of course, that's not solving this using multiplication, which is what we said we were going to do today. So how can I figure this out and write this out as an expression? So that's how we would write it out if we were going to write this out and fill it in using a model. So go ahead and take this, write it in your lesson and notes section. The Google Slides is the bottom of your page. Go ahead and fill this in. Pause the video if you need to. Go ahead and fill that in, because that's how you can figure this out using a diagram. It's one way to figure this out. The other way that you can figure this out is, of course, by using a simple equation. So M, again, is what I'm looking for. And I know that if I take M and I divide it into 4 equal parts, which is what I just did up there, each one of those equal parts equals $5. So again, now I have this as an equation. So I have my expression over here, M over 4, or M divided by 4, and I know that equals $5. That gives me my equation. Now, in order to get M by itself, like we've been doing, or balancing our equation, we have to use what we call the equality property of multiplication, which says that if I have something and I'm dividing, if I have a variable and I need to get it by itself because it's being divided, I can multiply by both sides of an equation, and it doesn't change the fact that both sides are still equal to each other. And that's all we need to worry about with an equation. As long as both sides are equal, we can do anything we want to either side. So in this case, I need to get M by itself, so I need to get rid of this divided by 4. And of course, the inverse of division is multiplication. So if I multiply this by 4, my divided by 4 cancels out. So now I've got M equals 5 times that 4 again. So M is going to equal 20, or $20. So either way we ran that, we know that Leslie's monthly allowance is $20. What operation did you use? Which one of those did you like best? Your two options would be you could use repeated addition, or you could use multiplication in order to solve the expression and find Leslie's allowance. And then how do we check this out to see if we were right? Well, we can take our total amount, 20, and if I divide it by what I multiplied by, which is basically the inverse, break it back into 4 equal groups, I get back down to my $5 again. And that's how we can check and solve, or check to see if our solution to the equation is accurate. There we go. So go ahead and fill these in on your copy of your Google Slides, because this will be your grade for today for your lesson and notes. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Go ahead and fill in your slide, and then we'll move on together. All right, so hopefully you filled in your slide there. Now I can move on to another practice problem here. We've got solve a divided by 3 equals 7. Then check your solution. So again, we can use a model here. I'm looking for a now. That's my total amount I'm looking for. And I know if I divide it by 3, each little group should be worth 7. So there we go. So if I do this, I can run this backwards. 7 plus 7 is 14, plus one more 7 would give me 21. Or I can use symbols. So I can take this A, and I know that if I take A and I divide it into 3 equal groups, each group should be 7. Now all I have to do is my inverse operation. So instead of dividing by 3, just take both sides and I multiply by 3. These two cancel out, so A equals 7 times 3, or A equals 21. There you go. Same deal, just like we did last time. That's all you need to do for these problems. If you can get your variable over a whole number equaling something else, all you need to do is divide out or use the inverse to get rid of the number you're dividing by. Fairly simple today, guys. All right, so I've got 4 quick problems here. I would like you to try these on your own. Go ahead and pause this video. Go ahead and type your answers in on your Google slide, and then we'll check them together. Okay, hopefully you paused this. If you didn't, you probably got some answers in there, but I'm guessing you're probably going to fail your independent practice today. So go ahead and try these out for real, and then check them with me. All right, so all we need to do for this first one, again, we're dividing by 8, so if I multiply by 8, that will cancel these guys out. I have x equals 9 times 8, which is 72, and I am finished. X equals 72. Same deal here. Doesn't really change much of anything. If I'm dividing by something, the inverse, of course, is going to be multiplication. So if I multiply both sides by 5, I have now 5 multiplied by 5 and divided by 5. Those cancel each other out. Now I have m equals 9 times 5, or 45. Moving on. I've got y divided by 4 equals 8. So if I multiply both sides by 4, that cancels out. 4 times 8 is 32. And 32 divided by 4 does equal 8. Again, is equal to y. And last but not least, now this one looks a little different, but we've just got b divided by 2. Doesn't matter what side that this is on. We're just going to multiply by 2. Again, these will cancel each other out. So b equals 30 times 2, or 60. And there we go. It's as easy as that. That's all you need to be able to do for these today, guys and gals. So let's try a couple of quick story problems. That way you should feel pretty good about what you're walking into today for your independent practice. So we've got this problem. Nathan picked a total of 60 apples in 1/3 of an hour. Write and solve a division equation. So we're not going to draw it out this time. We're actually going to do it as an equation to find out how many apples Nathan could pick in 1 hour. So the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what we're looking for, and we want to know how many apples Nathan can pick in 1 hour. And now I'm going to say how many apples Nathan can pick in 1 hour. I'm going to say that is equal to n. So I've defined my variable. N equals the number of apples, or how many apples Nathan can pick in 1 hour. So now I can create an expression or an equation to figure this out. So if I take that total amount, so n, I know that if I take my total number I can do in 1 hour, and I take 1/3 of it, or divide it by 3, now I know that that should equal 60. Now our problem looks just like what we had before. So if I take this, I'm going to take since I'm dividing by 3 over here, I need to get n by itself. Take both sides and multiply by 3. So these two will equal out. I have n equals 60 over 30, or n equals 180. Or Nathan can pick 180 apples in 1 hour. There you go. That's all you need to be able to do today. I hope that was pretty straightforward for you. If you have questions on this, please hop on office hours. We can always work this out. Today, while you're working, you can use the bar diagram and use repeated addition if that works for you. But remember, we do need to start using these inverse properties and get this under our belt. So I think the best thing you can do, as long as you've got the math chops for it, is to start using multiplication to which is the inverse of division, to get your variable by itself, balance the equation, and there you go. Again, to check your answer, just take your total answer and divide it by what you were multiplying by in the first place. So if you take 180 divided by 3, I will get my 60 again. There you go. That's all you need to be able to do today. If you have questions, let us know. If not, go ahead and check out that independent practice for today, and good luck.